cities have the power to change the world, and this is especially true when it comes to solving the problems of climate change. We are at the 2018 UN Climate Summit to show you how technological innovation can promote sustainable cities for all. We will focus on examples from the Delta Company, a global provider of power and thermal management solutions, awarded as one of Taiwan's top 20 global brands. Energy transition indeed is a central theme here in Katowice, in Poland, where global leaders gather for the biggest climate change event since 2015, when the Paris Agreement was born. To achieve the goal of a world free of fossil fuels by 2050, cities must be at the core of the solutions.
City matters because the city populations are really growing, and also the emissions are really high share of global emissions.
In the next 20 years, we'll have more than 2 billion people moving to cities. 70% of cities are already exposed to severe effects of climate change, and nearly all of them are at risk. But cities are our future, and a better global future lies in the urban innovation and action.
There's going to be explosive growth in electric vehicles. We don't want electric vehicles become just a consumption of electricity. It can be also a storage unit. So Delta has developed this bi-directional charging system.
Transport is not the only sector where innovation can help cities to overcome the challenge of climate change. Green buildings are another promising area in which Delta Electronic Foundations invests.
We also bring distributed energy resource into building sector. One example is our headquarters in Americas. It's in Fremont, California, and it's built and operated as a net zero building with its own PV system to sustain itself.
Cities are both a source of innovation and vulnerability. At the same time that solutions are available, sometimes lack of resources is a big challenge.
The cities really have the responsibility, and they really want to do a lot of things, but still their resources are really limited.
Barriers to access climate finance and difficulties to engage with stakeholders slow down the work of mayors. But some cities are more successful than others and could inspire change.
There is sometimes a disconnect between the policy and then the performance, because it takes time for policies to come into play. But that being said, there are a couple of cities you could point to. So New York City does have a strong building code so that there will be energy efficiency upgrades over time. They have a requirement that lighting in buildings of a certain size has to be converted to LEDs, and that has very quick paybacks.
It's good to remember that over 90% of all urban areas are coastal. This puts most cities on this planet at risk of flooding from rising sea levels and natural disasters. That's why innovation cannot be only restricted to major urban areas. They must also reach vulnerable populations.
This distributed energy resource system does help build energy resilience. It is not only for modern cities, it's also for those disadvantaged areas. For this example, Namasha Elementary School, it was totally destroyed in a typhoon mudslide. But when we rebuild it into a net zero campus, it becomes so resilient in its energy system. So it becomes a shelter for neighboring communities during typhoons.
With all these practical solutions, Delta has been advancing next-generation energy alternatives that are lowering the carbon footprint of cities and improving energy resilience for all.